Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance. I am Becky, and joining me for this special Build-A-Band episode is Podcast Contributor Jenni. Hi, Jenni.
Hi, Becky. I feel like I need like a guitar solo entrance.
Or drum solo, like a
Yeah.
Okay, so this episode has been over a year in the making, and I'm so glad to finally get to do this because I love Rockstar Romance.
I do. I have a thing for like the tortured artist.
Yeah.
Read it.
Well, and we'll get into all of that, like why we like Rockstar, because I have thoughts. So anyway, as I stated in the intro, Jenni and I are going to build our ultimate book band. I love a Rockstar Romance. I love the angst, the close proximity that comes with them, and I love the added piece of fame that can complicate any relationship. So for this episode, we'll talk about why we like Rockstar Romances, some of the authors that tend to write Rockstar Romances, but we do have rules that went into building our all-star ultimate band. And at the end of the episode, we will have given you 4 full bands. So 2 bands from me and 2 bands from Jenni. In the episode, a title can only be used once, and we can only use 2 members from the same band, and you can only use an author 3 times. Our bands will be made up of a lead singer, a lead guitarist, a bass player, a drummer. We can have a backup guitar or keyboardist, a manager or someone from the record label, and support staff, photographer, publicist, roadie, driver, bus driver, that kind of thing. So Jenni, let's start first with, what do you love about a Rockstar Romance?
Like I said, the tortured artist. As I was going through to make my bands, I realized that I really like the ones where this person's coming from a place of hurt and expressing that and making a living out of it.
Yeah, I like the added complications of fame that come into it.
Yeah, and that fame kind of goes with the tortured, because even though they're famous and they have all these things going for them, they still have the problems everyone else is facing.
Right. And, there's this desire to be the normal person, but they also compete to the fame and what comes with the fame. And I think that it just creates this whole dynamic within those stories that are, I don't know, just lead to some really good chemistry, some really good banter.
And sometimes it pushes the story more because being famous, you don't have the opportunities to create connections the same way.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think works well in a Rockstar Romance?
Oh, that's a good question. I like it when the rock star has a level head about their fame. They're not egotistical about it.
Yeah. I think that one of the best parts in the Rockstar Romances is the close proximity. We're on a tour bus, or, the rock star's in hiding from, the fans, or a problem or a situation that is kind of pushing them, the hero and the heroine, or the heroes, or to be together in the same place, and they can't really escape each other.
Right. Yeah, you can't just jump off a tour bus in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I get a lot of push and feedback from people that they don't like Rockstar Romances because they always think that there's somehow cheating and drug use, and honestly, as I was going through my list, I didn't have any of those issues. I've read ones like that.
Right. So have I. You can definitely find those if that's what you're looking for, but some of my like members have past drug use.
Same.
Right. Yeah, there's like the groupies, like reformed man whore type people too, but most of them are normal people just in an abnormal life.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, some of these authors may or may not end up in our book boyfriend list, but I did want to just kind of mention a couple of these authors that tend to write rockstar romances. Kristen Callahan, Kylie Scott, Lauren Rowe, Brittany Cherry, Julia Wolf. Those are all known for writing rockstar romances. Still on my TBR is Janie Diamond. And then community recs were Piper Lawson, Christina Hovland, Julia Capulet, and A.K. Evans are some of the community members' favorite rock star romances. So let's get to this. Let's build our bands.
Okay.
I will let you go first with your first lead singer.
Okay. My first lead singer is Mason West, and he is in Rising West, the Save Me series, book 1 by Allie Stiles. She's like my favorite rock star author. And this is where I kind of break the rules already, like right at the start. Because he becomes part of a band, and Liberty Blake and her twin brother are like, they form the band, which is Burn Card, and he kind of like breaks her out of her shell, so she sings as well.
Oh, that's not breaking the rules because I have double ups too, so that's fine.
Okay. And like tropes this falls into, he's a single dad. Tragedy has kind of put him in a place where he is raising his daughter on his own. And he had to put like music on the back burner for a while. So this is his chance, second chance at stardom. And it's a second chance at love for both of them.
Okay, so my first pick is Down and Dirty by Rena Morgan. They don't ever mention the name of the band. The lead singer, her name is Elizabeth Hemmings. They call her Lizzie. And her love interest is Alex McKee, and he is her producer / manager. This is close proximity, alpha hero, possessive alpha hero, and very much found family. She is devoted to her band and desperate for this chance for them. And she's willing to do whatever she can to make that happen. And a chance playing at a bar leads to Alex hearing her, and, chaos ensues.
Right place, right time.
Right. Okay. So next up would be a lead guitar player.
Okay. My first lead guitar player is Chad Wilcock from Forget the Stars by Kelsey Kingsley. Some of the tropes in this is childhood best friends reconnected, and it deals with chronic illness. Chad and Molly were best friends like when they were little kids, and then they like grew apart. And he is the lead guitar player for Devin O'Leary, which if you read some of other Kelsey Kingsley's books, she talks about that band quite a bit. But like they reconnect, and she ends up being the opening act for his band. And he is just like off a breakup with his previous girlfriend, and he's the one dealing with a chronic illness that's undiagnosed. So you like see him struggling with diagnosis through the tour, and she supports him in a way he hasn't had before. So they like kind of balance this perfect like knowing each other as children, but still like accepting and learning about each other as adults.
I think that always makes an interesting dynamic, when they know the past but have to function now in the future. I think it.
Yes.
Um, okay, so my next lead guitar player is Rockstar by Lauren Rowe. The lead guitar, he's also the lead singer of the band, is Dax Morgan. And the band's name is 22 Goats. And his love interest is Violet Rhodes. And this is a one-night stand instant attraction family series. There's kind of two parts to this book. Their one-night stand, and then he goes on tour, and then he comes back to Los Angeles. And the key piece of this is that they meet at his sister's wedding, but her brother owns his record label. And she has a history. It's really, really good. If you've not read Lauren Rowe, Rockstar is amazing, and her books do stand on their own. So because it's like book 5 in the Morgan family. So that is my lead singer. Okay, who's your first bass guitar player?
My first bass player is Ellen Delacroix, from Dirty Like Seth. This is book 3 in the Dirty series by Janie Diamond. It's a friends to lovers redemption, recovering addict. Seth is her love interest, and he played with the band Dirty, and he's trying to like get back in after recovering from the addiction and like temptations that kind of overtook his life while on the road. It's just a great look at like the interpersonal relationships within a band, because Elle is the only one that's willing to like give him a shot. Everyone else is done with him. And they really build their like trust in each other before they go to the physical relationship.
Okay, so my bass guitar player the book is Beneath the Stars by A.L. Jackson. The band's name is Carolina George. The hero is Reese Manning, and his heroine's name is Maggie Fitzgerald. And she is the younger sister of his manager, and she signs on to the band to be like the personal assistant, nanny help, because some of the band members have kids. And she kind of has a tortured past, and he is definitely a tortured hero. This is an age gap, close proximity, damaged hero, slow burn. He also has been pining for her, and they're friends to lovers, and he's put her very clearly in the friends to lovers or the friends category, and he doesn't really want to move over, and she pushes him. She pushes for it because she is, interested in him also. And if you've read A.L. Jackson, you know that she's like got to torture the hell out of them.
She's been on my TBR forever.
All the emotions. Okay, so drum player, because we know you have a thing for the percussion.
I do. Like, I feel like the percussion players never get any love, even in real life in the band. Like, they're the ones holding it together.
So who's your dream? Who's band number 1?
Yeah. The Life We Wanted by Kelsey Kingsley again. And this will be the same band, Devin O'Leary's band. Sebastian Moore is the drummer. He's like our frat boy puppy, like filter free player. Like he's just having a good time and kind of like coasting through life. Like he doesn't have a lot of responsibilities. He shows up, he plays, he does what he loves. But Tabitha becomes the guardian of her nephew when her sister dies. And Grayson is 15 at the time. And she finds some letters. This isn't too spoilery because it's like right in the blurb, I believe. She finds some letters that like kind of reveal who the father is, and it's Sebastian. So she like contacts him, and they have to learn how to co-parent by he's on the road and he's famous, and she's like this uptight real estate agent, likes everything in its box. And
interesting. That one sounds good. So my drummer is Love to Tempt You by Jay Salmon. The band is Wild Minds. Keith Dawson is the drummer, and his heroine's name is Mia. This is a meet cute virgin trope, age gap, damaged hero, grumpy sunshine, close proximity, rescue romance, and a slow burn. They legit crash into each other. Like in a traffic accident crash.
Okay.
She breaks her wrist. She's a waitress. She cannot work. And he goes to the hospital with her and then like tells her, well, that's okay. You can quit your job. You'll be my PA. And hey, by the way, move in with me.
Oh, okay.
Because she had just gotten evicted or, they were upping the rent on her place and she wasn't going to be able to afford it. It's really great. I love that Wild Minds series. By Jay Salmon and Keith. He is my favorite hero in that entire band series. Like, I love him the mostest. Anyway, but that whole series is slow burns. Like, slow burns. Anyway, who is your backup guitar player or keyboardist?
I have keys, and I only have one guy for key. Well, okay, maybe two, but like.
So I cheated on this. They could be the lead guitar player in their band, but I put them in the slot of
they're playing keys now,
or their backup guitar.
I think I did. Yeah, I did that. So my key player is Casey Barnett from Night Shift's Black. It's book 1 in the Hold series by Allie Stiles, which this was her debut book, and it was kind of before she knew the rules of writing romance. So it doesn't quite fit in any like specific trope. It really centers like the first half of the book centers around Callie and Luke, who is the lead singer of Night Shift's Black, like their connection, because Luke is like in a really depressed state and dealing with some really heavy stuff, and him and Callie make a connection. But Casey's he's a drummer for Night Shift's Black, but he also mixes and uses the MIDI all the time to make other accompanying music. So like he can do it all. He's a classically trained musician as well. Which if you know Allie, she is a classically trained harpist. So
yeah, she's pretty phenomenal. So
great. And she like recorded the song that is mentioned in this book.
That's fun. And that's actually one of the reasons I love Lauren Rowe, because she actually records the songs and writes songs that go with her books. And you can download and listen to them right off her website. It's super cool. I love that added piece.
Yes, that is amazing. Like it makes the book.
Yeah. Okay, so my backup guitarist or keyboard player is Adam Wainwright and Adelaide from Faded in Bloom by Julia Wolf. The band's name is The Seasons Change. And this is a friends to lovers, neighbors, dirty talker. He has a pierced penis. This is an age gap. Also, the spice in this book, okay, it really is technically a slow burn because it does not pop until like 70%. But there are all these mutual masturbation scenes that are so freaking hot. This is a top book for me in 2022. Like this book is leading my list. Anyway, he is the guitar player for the Seasons Change. She is the daughter of the owner of the record label, and there's some drama with her dad. And anyway, so good, and so spicy. Highly recommend. Okay, who is manager, record label, or producer for you?
My manager is Byron Langston. His book is actually Forever With Me by Claudia Bourgeau, but he is like sprinkled throughout all of her books, and he is the manager of Fall from Grace, and he's the guy that can get anything. Like when you need, hey, like I need to get to LA like now, like he's the guy that makes that happen. Um, and he's also part of the organization, which is like this undercover co-op like Good Samaritan group. And the whole band Fall from Grace also participates in this activity, I guess. And in his book you really see him like he's the one that's saved by his friends and family instead of being the one to like give everything to him. And his book is an opposite attracts. He's a demisexual, and it's a male-male romance.
Okay. Okay, so mine is Fractured Hearts by L.M. Danglish. And the band is Fractured Heart. And so this is one of my cheats, I guess, to break the rules. So Lexi Daniels is a photographer that is hired by the record label to take pictures of the bands while they're on tour to go with like a coffee table book they're going to put out in commemoration of their 10 years on tour. And her love interest is the lead singer, Connor Byrne. And this was like one of the most untypical rock star romances I've read. It is close proximity, damaged hero, instant attraction. She is a widow, and it is about love after grief and moving forward. And he is just so staunch and so demanding of what he wants. And she just pretty much ignores him and is there to take pictures. And it's really a great story. I stumbled upon this author in this series and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I have another hero that'll be in one of the other books or in one of my other bands. But Fractured Hearts, highly recommend if you haven't read it yet. Okay. Do you have a support staff? This could be publicist, roadie, manager.
I use the bodyguard because I gotta like bend the rules a little bit. My bodyguard is Pierce Westbrook. He is the bodyguard for Gemma Thompson, who is the co-lead singer for August Clover. And these characters go throughout the Love and Ruin series by J.A. Obi. His book is Love and Corruption, and it's a second chance, obviously, bodyguard. His book kind of focuses on the second chance with his childhood, high school sweetheart that he just kind of left her without answers to go do what he needed to do. But the books before, we really get like an image of the kind of guy he is. Like he falls for Gemma, who is the lead singer, but she's in a relationship with Hendrix, the other lead singer, and he is very like respectful and never crosses the line of being too flirtatious or putting himself in a vulnerable position while still doing his job.
Okay, I do love a good bodyguard. So I guess I kind of went out of order with the photographer. So my manager for my first band is Tommy Kerrigan. He is from the book Aftercare by L.B. Dunbar. The band that he manages is named Collision. And this was a vacation fling mature romance. His love interest's name is Edie Williams. And she is a breast cancer survivor. And she is on vacation. And she meets Tommy. And they try to figure out, she lives in Chicago. He lives in Los Angeles. And how to kind of make time and have, to have this relationship. They spend a lot of time over the phone talking and stuff. And I just really liked it because it's a different take, mature. Right. But he still is kind of the older dying rock star a little bit. He wasn't a former band himself. So I don't know. I really liked it. She's
great at the mature. like
I think
romance.
all her heroes and heroines are over 40
Yeah, I
or
think so.
35 or something.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm thinking of like at least one where like he is over 40. I'm not sure if she is, but yeah, she does just an amazing job at the mature.
She really does. And I really liked that story. There was just it was really impactful, like after you've gone through something so dynamic like breast cancer, you
Like
know,
it changes you. Yeah.
how do you, re-embrace being a woman and moving yourself forward, and especially because she's not doesn't have young kids anymore. Her kids are college and moved out, and you know, makes for an
She's
interesting dynamic. Okay, we are on to band number 2. So, who is the lead singer for your band number 2?
Jake McAllister from Cake. I am gonna so mispronounce her last name. Jay Benningson.
Benningson? Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, I read this book too in
Okay,
searching for this episode.
right. And it's a beefy book. It's
And then some.
yeah, I think it's like just shy of 600 pages. Um, it has a great meet cute, like it's his stepbrother's wedding and she's a bridesmaid. And everyone kind of like is expecting him to be there and he's super famous. And Casey just kind of like punks him right from the start. Like she's like, I doesn't care that he's famous. Like I'm gonna do whatever I can to mess with you. It is a slow burn because they're dealing with the like tour, like how to have a relationship while he's doing his job. And there is past abuse and on his side he was kidnapped as a child. So that is a like a thread that kind of runs through the whole series, the way the family operates around because it affected everyone in his large family differently.
Yeah, that book. That book.
Yeah.
It's very good, but she like rips your heart out and likes the trauma.
Yes. And she is really good at being like, um, well,
Well,
that just happened.
yeah. Yeah, you're kind of like, "Oh, okay. Well, moving on from that." Okay, so my first pick for this next band is Lick, is the book by Kylie Scott. The band's name is Stage Dive, and this is David and Evelyn's story. He is the lead singer, and this is Wake Up Married in Vegas, age gap. Um, Evelyn is super naive and is kind of bogged down in family expectations, and David is the absolute epitome of a rock star with a chip on his shoulder because of past hurts, and they have to figure out how to function, and it's really great. And I know some people struggle because it's just in Evelyn's point of view,
Okay.
but I love this dive series by Kylie Scott. If I didn't have another drummer that I love even more, like I would have had un like yeah.
Right. She was on my list too.
I love her books. I love her books. Anyway, so that's my first lead singer. Who is your lead guitar for the second band?
Montgomery Logan. He's in Heartstrings by Melody Moreland. Um, this is she does really great at the instant connection, insta love type romance. In this book, Charlotte Prescott is his like love interest, and he is playing guitar like in the subway tunnels, like, and she sees him on her daily commute. She's working a job for her dad, um, that she hates. And this is like her one solace in the day is his music and how it connects. And then once they get to know each other, they realize they don't like match up in personality wise, but the things that really matter, they kind of help each other through and find a good place to be.
Okay. Melanie Moreland is on my TBR. I really need to get to her stuff. She is our November author, so that's like my goal. Okay, so Nixon Winters from Muses and Melodies by Rebecca Yarros. His band's name is Hush Note. He is the lead guitar player for the band. His babysitter's name it's babysitter is because she is hired by the record label. She's trying to be a publicist, but she's hired by the record label to basically babysit him because he is coming off of an overdose. And he is, supposed to be writing songs and has 60 days to recover before they want him in studio recording. And so she is his babysitter from the PR firm. And her name is Zoe Shannon. And they go home to her small town in Colorado. So this Hush Note series was written by, book one of the series was written by Serena Bowen, then Rebecca Yarros, and Devney Perry. And they each took one member of the 3-member band and wrote a book. And Muses and Melodies, it actually kind of reignited. I hadn't read a lot of Rockstar romances. I'd read a bunch previous. And then when I read this book, it kind of reignited. And I was like, ooh, I must find all the rock stars.
Right. That's where I was like after like finding all my band members. I'm like, well, can we just read these?
Yeah. Well, I did a re-listen to Lick by Kylie Scott, and I'm like, okay. But yes, Muses and Melodies by Rebecca Yarros, highly recommend. Okay, so who is your bass player?
My bass player is Austin Daugherty from Bass, Saving Tate. It's book 3 in the series by Anna Edwards. This is an older book. It's a bi awakening, and his love interest is Merrick, who is, I believe, the producer of the band. And before, Austin had only been with women, and Merrick kind of like intrigues a different feeling in him he hasn't experienced before. And Merrick he's just came like from a really bad past relationship where he's been like physically abused to the point of hospitalization. But he's still willing and understanding of like Austin's kind of like struggle to have a relationship with a man. And then there's also, as usual, like the dynamic of him being a client and how that works.
Yeah. Okay. My bass player is Henry. I don't know how to say his last name, but it's Promise to Love You by Jay Salmon. He's part of the Wild Minds band. Tropes in this book are age gaps, siblings, best friend, and close proximity. His heroine's name is Eden Dawson, and she is also the record producer for the latest album for the Wild Minds. And they, one night, 3 years previous to this, they had sex at a club. And he did not know it was her. She knew it was him. He did not know it was her. And then fast forward, she is now the producer for the new album. The record labels hired her. And so she's like, I want nothing to do with you. And he is like, wow, I'm super attracted to you. Anyway, but he can't cross that line because it's his best friend's little sister. It's Keith from the previous book's little sister. So.
Oh, and the producer.
Wow. And the producer. Yeah. So much drama. Anyway, who's your second drummer of the night?
Yes, Xander Sullivan from Falling North. Their band is Falling Back North. The book is Falling North. It's book 2 in the Save Me series by Allie Stiles. You may have seen a theme in my selections.
No, we did not. Is this
Okay.
your third pick from her?
It is.
That's okay. I have one author that I did three from. I used, but
Yeah, love Allie. This book is comfort, hurt. They're It's really kind of hard again to put like in a trope box, but Xander is like, he is self-sacrificing to the point of like he will deny himself the possibility of love. With the heroine of this book, Lydia Carmichael, she's like a marketing queen that's been tasked to like take their band to the next level, kind of like give them that push. But Xander's bandmate is also his brother, who is also interested in Lydia, but she only has eyes for Xander. So
Allie likes the like almost love triangle vibes, doesn't she?
Yes. It's almost, but nope, it only got like the triangle only goes around one way.
It's not an equal triangle. Okay, so my drummer is Colin from Swoon by Lauren Rowe. He is the drummer from 22 Goats. And this is a sibling's best friend, wedding, childhood crush, instant connection romance. Colin, and this is also dating coach. So Colin is the good time guy. He has no interest in settling down. He's just loving being a rock star. And Amy, which is his best friend's little sister, Colin actually got her a job at the record label that he is with. And she spent time on tour with another band and is just coming off a tour and getting ready to go back out with another band. She's not sure where the record label's going to send her. And she doesn't have an apartment because she's just coming off tour. So Colin's like, hey, come stay with me. And then when he finds out that she has never had an orgasm that she hasn't given herself, he convinces her that he can do it. There is piercing in this book. There are toys, sex toys in this book. Like, he is the guy that is willing to do whatever he needs for his lady.
She's learning it all.
It is super sexy. It's a great romance, and I'm obsessed with this one. It was a top read for me last year. So very good. Okay, so who's your backup guitar player, keyboardist?
Yeah, I have like 2 listed, but again, this would like be completely breaking the rules. Like Liberty Blake from my first bands, like the co-lead singer, she plays keys. Or Luke Craven from Night Shifts Black, who is his love story is actually in Tracing Holland, which I believe is book 2 in the Hold Me series by Allie Stiles. I would make him backup guitar.
So mine is Denver. He's actually kind of a retired rock star. And this is from the book Duet by Julie Chris. This is book 1 in the Road Kings. So Road Kings are the name of his band. He's the lead singer, guitar player, and keyboardist for his band, but I'm putting him in the backup so that I could talk about him. This is a one-night stand, meet cute. She has no idea who he is. So he's the member of a band that hasn't been on tour for like the last 3 or 7 years. And they were never like a super crazy popular band. They were more known for their touring and their touring antics. And so they never really got radio hits, but they always sold out to crowds. And his heroine's name is Callie. She is an old maid, piano teacher, and she has a cat. That's pretty much her life. She plays in a 3-piece jazz band, and she was playing keys at the jazz bar when Denver approaches her. And this story takes place as he and his band members are being approached to come back together and go back out on a reunion tour. And she's like, I don't want anything to do with the rock star lifestyle. And he's willing to say no. But if you have not read Julie, Chris, I highly recommend this book. Book 1 and 2 in this series are out. Book 3 comes out later this year. So, but it had all the angst I love.
And the rock star angst.
Yeah. Okay. So who is your record label, producer, manager spot?
Yeah, I kind of like pulled the same, like used this because I wanted to talk about this series. So my label is like the label exec is Lexi Mark, but her book is the first book in the Off Track Records book. It's Detour by Casey Shea. She is the like forgotten child of a famous rock star, so she wants nothing to do with rock stars, but she's trying to make it the rock star lifestyle herself. She becomes the opening act for Three Ugly Guys, that's the name of the band, to soften their image. And then Trent is her, well, it's kind of one way for quite a while. He's like all about her, and she's like, because of her past, isn't going to have it. But she soon realizes that like Trent, although he like is a big like talker and like plays around a lot, like he's really loyal to the people he loves. And when things blow up, he's really there for her. And her sister create a label at the end of book 4 in this series.
Okay. That sounds really good. So my record label is, so I picked Reed Rivers. And this is actually a trilogy series of books. His love story. His heroine's name is Georgiana, and it's the Reed Rivers trilogy by Lauren Rowe. He owns River Records, and he owns the whole label. This is an age gap, close proximity, possessive alpha hero. But this is one of those trilogies at the end of book 1 and at the end of the book 2, you're like, oh, Reed, oh, no. What are you doing? Damn it, Reed. You're like, damn it. Georgiana is a journalist intern for like a Rolling Stones type magazine, and she's been put on a tour with one of Reed's bands. It's actually 2 of his bands, and she's following along, and he just starts showing up at the different tour stops that he's not supposed to be at.
Convenient.
And there's a really great scene in book 1 where they're in a dressing room backstage during a concert, and things are happening, and an intern walks in on them with things happening. And that intern is Amy from Swoon.
Oh.
So, but you don't know that it's Amy from Swoon until you read Swoon. So great. It was like one of those like little like, oh.
The Easter egg, yeah.
I love that. Anyway.
Yes.
That Reed Rivers trilogy, like, it was an emotional roller coaster. I had to wait 2 weeks between each book because I was reading them as arcs as they were coming out.
Right.
And she ended up moving up her release dates because people were so desperate for the books. So it was that good, you guys. So good. Anyway, okay. Who is your support staff for the final piece in your band?
A Tom Madona's, I totally like butchered that name, but he's in Smart Mouth, which is book 4 in the Work For It series, Educating Romance World, Penny Reed book universe, because you know I had to get like at least one Smarty Pants
at least
book
one.
in there somewhere. Yep. He was part of a boy band as a teenager, but he had a lot of panic attacks, and he has ADHD and anxiety, and he has to learn to cope with that, like while being part of a band that's made it really big. Um, and he's found that he like works much better behind the scenes, and he's a producer. His love interest is Gwendolyn Matthews. Um, she is like getting ready to defend her PhD. She studies dirt, like dirt, like yeah.
So who's the author of this series, of this book?
Yes, Emma Lee Jane.
Okay. I have not read her. She
Yes,
studies
it's
dirt.
yes, she studies dirt, which book 2 in the Work for It series, you meet her like advisor and his story. But she was best friends with his twin brother as a child.
Oh.
And she needs saved from a blind date gone bad and can't get hold of said twin. So Tom comes to rescue her and kind of like reunites his childhood crush with her.
Fun. Okay, so my last piece in the band is Cassie Elliott from Fractured Kiss by L.M. Danglish. She is a guitar tech for bassist Zach Ford. So she is responsible for setting up his guitars and tuning them before the show starts and then packing them away. And this is close proximity, fake dating, slow burn. This is absolutely what you want in a Rockstar Romance. They are stuck on a tour bus together. And she was actually the fiance of the opening act's lead singer. And she catches him cheating right in the beginning of the book. And then the guys from Fractured Heart and the photographer, she invites her to stay on their bus for the next stop until they figure out what she's going to do. But Zach is caught hugging her, and kind of protecting her when she was upset. And now all of the paparazzi, which I think is an interesting piece to Rockstar Romances, right, when, paparazzi kind of forces them together. So that is Fractured Kiss by L.M. Danglish. And again, top read 2022. That book came out in April. So very good. Anyway, that's what I got. I think
one more.
You got one more. What else you got?
A driver. Because he doesn't have his own book, but Bob Lassen from the Cake series. He's like Jake's confidant. Like he's the only one that really knows the details of Jake's like trauma. And there is a scene in Cake, the Newlyweds, like at a Chuck E. Oh my gosh, it's like at a Chuck E. Cheese type place. I am not the kind of person that like shows emotion when I am reading. I was laughing my ass off. Like,
that's so funny. So in the Fractured Kiss series, the bus driver for the band is a lady, and she is kind of like the mama bear that keeps them all on the straight and narrow, and it's really great. So I get it. The driver, they don't necessarily get their own book, but they do have a dynamic and a piece in the story that
they hear it all.
adds next level. Okay. Well, thank you, Jenni, for building a band with me. I appreciate it.
Yes, I had fun.
And now you have all the book recs, and you'll be able to find them on our on the shelf show notes on our website. So it's that time for Book of the Week. Okay, episode 7022 without an echo, but
right.
We'll keep waiting. Jenni, what was your book of the week?
My book of the week was In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. I've like been touting this book all week. So if you've been on Discord, you've seen me like pretty much like read this book. It is a little on the beefier side, like just shy of 400 or 500 pages. But she needs to get married in order to keep her step grandmother's tulip farm in a small town. And her high school friend Noah kind of steps up and is like, I'll marry you. Like, yeah. And he's kind of like renovated the whole town. And both characters have to deal with like really tough things and end up coming back to this small town. Like it was neither one of their plans to be in Friendship, Rhode Island. And also he is guardian of his niece Jeannie, and she's hilarious. She has a potty mouth. She's like a very realistic, rambunctious 6-year-old. All the pieces just fit together really good.
Yeah. I've been reading everybody's reviews on this book, and it is on my Kindle, and I will be reading it. So, because the little girl, and he is Dan, the jam man. Which I'm just like, okay. Okay, so my book of the week is I'm doing a reread listen for some upcoming episodes of the podcast. And so I was listening to Visions in White by Nora Roberts. And it has renewed my love of her books. We don't talk about her much because, do we need to talk about Nora Roberts for people to read her books? But I guess now we do. This Bridal Quartet series is so good. It is 4 friends who run a wedding venue. Visions in White is about Mac, the wedding photographer, and her absent-minded professor. Well, he's really just a high school teacher, Carter. The book was released in 2009, and there's some tech mentions that kind of age the book, but overall it is still really a fantastic read. I love the friendship in this book. And I did do the audiobook. I don't love the narrator. But it shows me how far we have come in audiobooks. Because it is third-person storytelling, and it's multiple points of view, but it's all read by the same audio narrator. And it's just okay. Yeah. Just right. Okay. So, but the story itself is phenomenal, and if you've not read that series, I highly recommend it. Okay, so Patreon update. Welcome to new Patreon member Sue. We are so happy to have you along. And at the end of October, it will be 2 years that we started our Patreon campaign in order to keep the podcast going. The following Patreon members are some of our founding members and joined us from the very beginning. And that would be Heather, Mindy, Demi, Carrie, Nikki, and Danica. Thank you for loving and supporting the podcast for the last 2 years. We could not have done this without your support. We recently did update our Patreon perks. Some of our perks include monthly swag packs, bonus content like Should I Read It? And Buzzing After Dark, Drunk Book Club, merch discounts, quarterly reading journals, Another Round episodes, and Coffee of the Month Club, and our bi-monthly author roundtables. In October, we're hosting author roundtable discussion with Jay Salmon, and her roundtable will take place on 10/12. Details can be found at patreon.com/bookcase and coffee. And you came to our last roundtable.
I did, and it was very fun. I learned a lot, and it was very relaxed, and
yeah, it was just really nice to kind of chat. We chatted with Jamie Davenport, and it was kind of interesting to see her take on the world, and she writes hockey and sports romance. So it was a really great conversation, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to doing some more of these. Okay, so you can join the community while helping to support the podcast by joining us over on Patreon. We'd really like to hit our goal of 40 Patrons by the end of the year, and you can find details at patreon.com/bookcaseandcoffee. And one of our exclusive perks and events that's part of Patreon is our Drunk Book Club. And in October, we will be featuring author Juliet Cross, and we are reading Wolf Gone Wild. which I think that's our first ever paranormal pick for book club, and I'm kind of excited about it.
I'm excited about it. And I also feel like because Leah's not here, I need to mention sex nachos.
You do. Everybody, every episode.
Yeah.
Every time I mention Juliet Cross, we must talk about the sex nachos from Parks and Provocation, which is her book in the Smarty Pants universe. And next time we are back with a trope talk, and this time we are going with location, location, location. It is time we bring you our favorites of small town romances. So buckle up, have a pen and paper ready, because boy, do we love small town romance. My list is so long.
Right?
It is so long. And if you had asked me a year ago, I'd tell you I don't really read a lot of small town romance. I don't. I really don't. But
okay,
I do.
Becky.
But I really, really do. And I've actually made you stumble down a couple rabbit holes with me recently of small town romances.
Yes, you have.
Which, by the way, I finished that series today.
I saw that.
It's so freaking good. So freaking good. Anyway, but you can find upcoming reviews and all those things on our website at bookcaseandcoffee.com, or check out our on the shelf show notes on our website. Jenni, thank you so much for rocking out and building a band with me. How many more cringy rock things can I add in this sentence? I appreciate it.
I had fun. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.